Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be ranking all the Marvel Rivals characters based on how high their skill ceilings are and how difficult they are to play at a high level. And real quick, we are super duper close to 1,000 subscribers, so help me get there and it would mean the world to me. Let's get on with the tier list. Starting with Adam Warlock. I think he's one of the more easier characters in the game. Really, most of it comes down to just positioning, making sure you have safe reses, and timing your soul bind, which does take a bit of skill, but compared to the other characters, I don't think he's that much, so I'm gonna put it in C. Alright, now we have Panther. Panther is probably one of, if not the highest skill character in the game. He's almost all melee range, so you have to be super careful with how you play and engage. You need really good aim when hitting his combos, and you need to actually know how to do the combos as well as picking the right targets and stuff. Without a doubt, one of the hardest characters in the game. Okay, now we got Captain America. He has a lot of movement, so that's pretty hard, and his playstyle is kind of like an off tank where he just kind of runs around. I don't know, as of now, he doesn't really do a whole lot other than that, but there's definitely a high skill ceiling here, so I'm gonna put him in A. Now on to Cloak and Dagger. I think this one actually has a decent skill ceiling. There's a lot of potential to optimize when it comes to switching your forms and using your abilities and stuff. Definitely has some life-saving abilities for your teammates, but at the same time, there's just so many other high skill characters. I'm gonna put them in B tier. Now on to Strange. He's a pretty straightforward tank in terms of design, but the amount of efficiency you can squeeze out of him when optimized for the highest level of play is just insane. And not to mention the insane creativity cap with his portals. There's so much you can do with them, like even faking them and sending enemies in through them. It's just crazy the things you can do with them, as well as managing your shield as a resource and all around knowing how to play the game for the objective and take space. I'd say he's an A tier. Now on to Groot. I think he's pretty similar to Strange in skill requirement. You have to know how to place his walls well and manage your resources. I think he's a little less intensive than Strange, so I'm gonna put him right here in A with them. Alright, Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is one of the easier characters in the game. You just kind of like shoot your arrows and that's pretty much it and hope to get a kill. I'm debating to put him in D, but for now, we'll put him in C with Adam. Now onto Hela. Really, it's just you need to be a really good aimer to get value on her, and I'd say the highest skills part about her kit is her ult, making sure you're ulting in like good spots where you won't get destroyed instantly. Still though, not a whole lot of room for creativity here, so I'm putting her in C. Now onto Hulk. I think Hulk has a pretty high skill ceiling. Usually you'll see that trend with most movement characters, and he's kind of one of those tanks where he likes to move around a lot. You gotta manage your HP and use your leaps efficiently, so I'm gonna put him in A. Now onto Iron Fist. Again, like Black Panther, he's a pretty high skill character. You need to have really good engages with him and know your limits, especially on this guy. I don't think he's quite as intensive as Black Panther, but he's still up there, so I'm gonna put him in S. Okay, now we got Iron Man. Iron Man's kind of in a weird spot because he has a basic kit, but there's a lot of ways you can play him. In my games, I see a lot of people flank with them, or they just sit up high and spam chokes from angles that are hard to contest. There's a decent amount of skill that goes into that, but at the same time, once you learn the playstyles, there's not much else you have to do that's super intensive. So I'll put him in B for now. On to Jeff. Jeff is definitely one of the more like easier characters in the game, I'd say. He just kind of heal bots and that's pretty much it. So yeah, all you're really doing is just basic positioning and making sure you don't die. Definitely probably the easiest character in the game, I'd say. Now on to Loki. Now Loki, I think, is pretty high skill. There's a lot that goes into him with cooldown management, making sure you can escape. His playstyle will change a lot depending on the enemies. If they're dive, you need to be more reactive and kind of stay like a couple steps ahead of the enemies by having clones in a safe spot to teleport. Otherwise, you're just kind of turreting with them. Still, I think that cooldown management is a pretty big skill in this character. I'm gonna put him in A. Luna Snow. Really, the biggest skill in her character revolves around using her ult and controlling tempo with her mode switches. There's not a ton else that goes into that other than that, but at the same time, that's really the key definition between what makes a Luna good or bad. So I'm gonna put that in B tier. Now for my personal favorite character and most played character, which is Magic. Now, I think Magic is, again, a pretty high skill character. I don't think she takes as much skill as Panther or Iron Fist, but definitely really close. I'm debating whether to put her into A or S. There's a lot that goes into it with their cooldown management, positioning, and knowing your limits. So I don't know. I think I'm going to put her in S tier for now. Now on to Mantis. I'd say Mantis is one of the more skilled support characters. A lot of this is with managing her resources. You got to make sure you have like your leaves of energy or whatever for handling stuff, saving your sleep for good situations, and positioning well, of course. Definitely more skilled than Luna, but I don't think quite at Loki's tier, so I'm gonna put her in B. Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight actually is one of the higher skilled characters. He gets decent value just from like existing, but there's a lot of creativity, especially with using your onks well, that will really like change the game. So I think he's pretty high skilled, definitely near like the top of B. I don't think quite A though, so we'll put him in B. Now onto Namor. I think Namor is one of the easier DPS characters. Yeah, really you just have to have some basic positioning, know the game fundamentals, and then the only real skill comes from your turret placement, which you kind of get the hang of pretty early on. You'll start realizing quickly when your turrets are being broken and when you need to adapt though. We'll put him in D. Magneto. I think Magneto is a pretty high skill tank. Managing your bubble is big, as well as your like magnetic buildup or whatever. You also have your shield resource. I think he's a bit more straightforward than the other tanks, but that bubble is pretty skill intensive. I still think he goes in B though. Now we have Penny. I think Penny's one of the easier tanks to play. It's really just positioning and placement of your mine generators. So making sure you put them in like flank angles and good spots that will get good value, or like contested lanes that you need to cover. Besides that, there's not much else. You do need like good web mechanics. I'm thinking B tier or C tier. I'm not totally sure. I'm gonna put her in C tier for now though. Okay, now on to Psylocke. Psylocke is a really interesting character because she has really long cooldowns, but the better you use her cooldowns and get value with your primary, the faster they come back. So it kind of snowballs. Definitely a character you can hard carry a game on. So that's really skill intensive. I think it just has to be A tier. I don't think it's quite on par with the rest of these. Yeah, very close to, if not. But we'll put her in A. Now on to Punisher. Punisher's pretty simple to play. There's quite a bit of skill that goes into knowing when to be using your shotgun versus your rifle, and then also your turret. But in general, like one of the easier characters in the game. Pretty straightforward design, so we'll put him in D. Now we have Rocket. Rocket's pretty simple. You just need good placement with your buildables, and in general, just stay out of harm's way. It's not like a crazy character where you're on the flank and you need to do crazy things to get value. He just kind of sits there and, does what he does. So kind of like Jeff. So I'm putting him in D. I think he's a little more skilled than Jeff, but not quite deserving of C tier. So we'll put him in D. Okay, now we have Squirrel Girl. To be honest, pretty easy character. There's not really like any combos and stuff to do with her. So again, it's just kind of like your level of positioning, not too much to do with the actual character mechanics herself. You do have to be good at like aiming her fire though. Still, I don't know, I have to put her in D. I don't think she's that hard to play. All right, now we have Star-Lord. Man, I think Star-Lord is a really high skill, high reward character. One, you need great aim. Two, you're flying around and often alone, so that means you have to be like really good at dodging enemy skill shots and also playing in a spot where you can easily escape to health pack or healers. So it's super mechanically intensive and requires great awareness. I have to put him in A, probably like around Psylocke's level, I'd say. Now we have Spidey. I forgot about this when I said Black Panther was the hardest character. Spidey's definitely the hardest character to play. His skill floor is like really low. Unless you're like know what you're doing, you're not really gonna get any value on him. And even when you are super good, you're not getting like crazy value. It's so mechanically intensive. You need to know all your combos to be able to execute them well. And you need to play your life, which is pretty hard on him. Like if you mess up on this character, you're gonna get punished pretty hard. Definitely S tier for sure. Now onto Storm. She's one one of the few characters that can fly, but she doesn't really have like super advanced movement. She's kind of an easy target to hit, so you're often just kind of like playing in the back and safe angles, but at the same time you need to be able to control tempo with switching between speed and attack boost, so that can be pretty hard to decipher when you know what is best for your team. But again, not super mechanically intensive. I'm gonna put her in B. Now we have Scarlet Witch. She is a pretty easy character. She has a get out of jail free card, a stun, and it aims for you, so definitely fits into D tier here. Thor. I've never really played Thor personally, but I know how he kind of works. He's got to manage like the hammers that charge up, and I know like they chain into other abilities and like charge it, so just that alone has got to be pretty skill intensive to manage. I think he just has to be A tier. I don't really see him anywhere else. Now on to Venom. I think Venom's pretty straightforward. You just kind of like swing into their backline, stick around, and then pop your shields when you get low. Before you die, you just leave. So pretty simple chain. The movement's like not that crazy. It's just swinging. Other than that, once he's there, and he just kind of sits and does melee attacks. So I think he's in C tier. Black Widow. I know she isn't very good right now, but you do need really good aim for her and know how to position well as a sniper and bend yourself off against flankers. Still not much to it other than that, but again, that awareness and positioning is a really big part when it comes to her, so I'm putting her in B. Now we have Wolverine. Wolverine's definitely pretty high skill. The biggest thing is like taking good angles on the flank so you can grab one of the enemies and pull him into your team. That alone is definitely like his highest skill aspect. And then you have to manage your cooldowns, making sure you're living and you're getting the maximum value out of your enragement mechanics. So I think he's in A tier. He doesn't have the same movement as a lot of these characters, so he's a bit easier to play in that sense. Definitely still needs high skill to get the best value out of him. Winter Soldier. Biggest thing with him is landing your hooks. That's pretty skill intensive, and then kind of cycling those abilities to reload your gun. He doesn't do anything crazy, like he's not really a flanker, so yeah, I don't know. It's really just cooldown management and combos, which can be pretty intensive, but I don't see him being higher than B tier, so we'll put him there. All right, now we have Invisible Girl. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played her or like played since the patch, so I don't know like too much of how it actually works in game. I've seen like gameplay though. From what I see, it's kind of similar to a lot of other supports, and if I had to compare it to one, it'd be Cloak and Dagger, so I'm just gonna put her in B tier. Mr. Fantastic. Again, I haven't played the patch, so I haven't seen him in game, but from the trailers and gameplay I've seen, he seems to be a pretty crazy character that can do a lot. He has like the deflect, he can like grab two enemies and pull them into each other. If I had to guess, it'd probably be somewhere around A tier. Again, don't really know though. Alright guys, that concludes our tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that sub button and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.